Section 12.5 is multiplying polynomials. And the directions here just say to multiply and simplify. So we'll go ahead and do that here with the first problem. We're going to multiply our numbers in front. 8 times 3 is 24. If we recall the rule of exponents, the exponent here on that x is a 1. And the rule of exponents says that when you're multiplying two numbers with the same base, you simply add the exponents. So 2 plus 1 is going to give us x to the third. All right, let's try that with this one here. So negative 4 times 7 is negative 28 and to the power 10. Good. In this next problem, we're going to go ahead and distribute our 3x to both terms. So 3x times 2x is a 6x squared. 3x times 5 is a positive 15x. And we cannot combine those anymore because they're no longer like terms. So let me scroll down here and let's try these next ones. So again, I'm going to distribute once, twice, 3 times. So 7x times x squared is a 7x to the third. 7x times 2x is a plus 14x squared. And finally, 7x times a negative 1 is simply just a negative 7x. Again, none of these are like terms because they all have different exponents. And so there's our final answer. In the next problem, we'll do it the same way. So we'll go ahead and distribute our negative 2a to both terms. So negative 2a times a is a negative 2a squared. And negative 2a times a positive 4 is simply a negative 8a. So again, you can see that essentially all we're doing here in these problems is just using the distributive property. Okay, so let's multiply again. 9 times 5 is 45, x to the 5th. And then 9 times 12 should be a 108, x to the third. Good. So in the next problems that we have here, you can notice that we have we're multiplying two binomials. We're multiplying two binomials. We're still using the distributive property. We're just using it twice. So we're going to go here. So x times x is going to leave us with an x squared. X times 3 will give us a 3x. So we'll use that x. We've already used it. We don't need it anymore. So 4 times x is a plus 4x. And 4 times 3 is going to give us a 12. Now, we can actually combine these two here in the middle. So we have an x squared. 3x plus 4x is simply 7x, and then our plus 12. So just a reminder, when you're adding or you're combining like terms, the only thing we're really doing is adding the numbers in front or adding the coefficients, but we're not changing the exponents anymore. All right, let's try this one. So a times a is going to give us an a squared. A times negative 2 is a negative 2a. Now we've already multiplied this a, so I'm going to scratch that out. We'll do the 7. So 7 times a is a plus 7a. And 7 times negative 2 is a negative 14. Again, we can go ahead and combine these two terms here in the middle. So now we have a squared plus 5a minus 14. All right. So let's take a look at these next problems. Again, I'm still using my distributive property. So 3x squared times 4x squared should give us a 12x to the power 4. 3x squared times 7 is a 21x squared. Now 1 times 4x squared is just 4x squared. And 1 times 7 is just 7. So again, now we can go ahead and combine those two. So we have our 12x to the 4th plus 25x squared plus 7. Good. All right. So in the next problem that we have here, 2y minus 4 squared. Remember, if we're squaring something, all that means that we're doing is we're multiplying the same thing by itself twice. So I'm just going to write 2y minus 4 times another 2y minus 4. So 2y times 2y is 4y squared. 2y times negative 4 is simply a negative 8y. Negative 4 times 2y is another negative 8y. Negative 4 times negative 4 is a positive 16. So now we can go ahead and combine our two terms here in the middle. So they're both negative. Negative 8y minus 8y is a negative 16y plus 16. All right. So let's try the next one here, 3y plus 5 squared. We'll do it just like the way we did the problem above. So we're going to write 3y plus 5 times another 3y plus 5. So 3y times 3y is 9y squared. 3y times 5 is a plus 15y. 5 times 3y is another plus 15y. And 5 times 5 is a plus 25. So now we have 9y squared plus 15y and another 15y is a plus 30y plus 25. Great. Okay, so if you notice the next problems here, they even have more terms. So we're still going to be using the distributive property. We're just going to use it multiple times here. So I'm going to go really slow. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so x times 2x squared should give us a 2x to the third. X times a plus 4x is a plus 4x squared. And x times a negative 1 is a negative 1x. Okay, we've used that x. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing, but with our 3. So 3 times 2x squared is a plus 6x squared. 3 times 4x is a plus 12x. And 3 times negative 1 is a negative 3. So now we can go ahead and combine our like terms. The leading term here, the one that has the highest exponent, is 2x to the third. That's the only x to the third term that we have. So we'll go ahead and write that one down first. So 2x to the third. 4x squared and 6x squared should give us a plus 10x squared. A minus 1x and a plus 12x is a plus 11x. And finally we have our minus 3. And there's our answer. Okay, let's try the next problem. We'll do it the same way. So again, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Alright, so 4x times 8x squared should give us a 32x to the third. A 4x times a plus 2x should be a positive 8x squared. And a 4x times a negative 4 should be a negative 16x. Alright, we'll try the same thing, but now with our minus 5. So minus 5 times 8x squared is a negative 40x squared. A negative 5 times a plus 2x is a minus 10x. And a negative 5 and a negative 4 multiplied is a positive 20. Okay, so again, we only have one x to the third term, and it's this one here. So we'll go ahead and write that down, 32x to the third. Okay, our x squared, so we have a positive 8x squared and a minus 40x squared, which should leave us with a minus 32x squared. We have a negative 16x and a negative 10x to leave us with a negative 26x. And then finally, a positive 20. Great. Alright, so if you notice this last problem, we have a lot of terms in this one. We have 3 and 3. So again, let's go one piece at a time. So x squared times 2x squared So 2x to the fourth. X squared times a negative 7x is a negative 7x to the third. X squared times a negative 9 is a negative 9x squared. Okay. Now let's do our 5x. So 5x times 2x squared is a plus 10x squared. 5x times a negative 7x, oops, shouldn't this have been x to the third right there? Yeah, that was my mistake. Okay. Let's come back here. So yeah, 5x times 2x squared, 10x to the third, better. Okay, 5x times negative 7x is a negative 35x squared. And then a 5x times a negative 9 is a negative 45x. Okay, we have one more to do, the negative 7. So negative 7 times 2x squared should give us a negative 14x squared. A negative 7 times another negative 7x is a plus 49x. And then a negative 7 times a negative 9 is a positive 63. All right, so now let's worry about combining all of our like terms. So again, we only have one 2x to the fourth, so I'm going to write that right here, 2x to the fourth. Now let's worry about our x to the thirds. So we have a negative 7x to the third and a plus 10x to the third, which leaves us with a plus 3x to the third. Our x squareds, we have a minus 9x squared, a minus 35x squared, and a minus 14x squared. The one thing I noticed about all of them, they're all negative, so we can just add them all up and keep our answer negative. So let me get my calculator. We're going to go 9 plus, what was the next one? 35 plus 14 equals negative 58. All right, so now we have a negative 58x squared. Okay, and then our x's, here we go. A negative 45x and a plus 49x should leave us with a plus 4x. And then finally at the end, a plus 63. Wow. So that's a pretty big problem there. What I want you to notice about these problems as you're going through them, there's a difference in a problem being difficult and a problem, sort of being time-consuming or it takes a long time. And so I think with these problems here, for the most part, they're not necessarily difficult, but they are time-consuming. And be careful, if you noticed earlier, I think it was this term right here, I was going to write an x squared, or I wrote an x squared and had to go back and correct it. So take your time with them. The problems aren't necessarily difficult, but small mistakes can occur. So let's finish up 12.5. I just have a few more problems to do here, and we'll go through these again. So again, I'm just going to distribute a times a. This problem looks much easier. A squared. A times 7 is a plus 7a. Negative 7 times a is a negative 7a. And a negative 7 times a positive 7 is a negative 49. If you notice, our two middle terms will cancel out. And so our answer is just a squared minus 49. Okay, let's try the next one. We'll do it the same way. So 7x times 7x is a 49x squared. 7x times a positive 5 should be a positive 35x. Negative 5 times 7x is a negative 35x. And a negative 5 times a positive 5 is a negative 25. Again, our two middle terms will cancel out. And so we end up with 49x squared minus 25. Okay? And so let's do these last two problems here. Again, we'll go through slowly just to make sure that everything is coming out okay. So we'll distribute those together. That should give us a 9x to the fourth. 3x squared times a negative 1 is a negative 3x squared. 1 times 3x squared is a positive 3x squared. And 1 times negative 1, still negative 1. Again, these two terms here will cancel out. And so our final answer is 9x to the fourth minus 1. All right, so the last problem here says, let's find the area of the rectangle. So again, if you recall, the formula for the area of a rectangle is the length times the width. So this is typically what we call the length. This is typically what we call the width. So we're going to take the length, which is the same thing as 2x plus 5. We're going to multiply it by the width, which is 2x minus 5, and we'll distribute. So that's a 4x squared. That is a minus 10x. That's a plus 10x. That's a negative 25. Again, our middle terms here are going to cancel out. And so we're going to end up with 4x squared minus 25. Now again, since we're talking about area, our answer is going to be in square yards, right? Great. That's 12.5.